The sun had burned hot the day the cattle strayed. The dry wind carried the scent of dust and acacia, the rustling of the savanna grass whispering a warning no one had heeded. Lolkera had been in a rush, his mind clouded by the promise of changa, the thick fermented brew that called him more strongly than the responsibilities of a herdsman. He had not counted his cows properly that evening. He had not noticed the handful of unfamiliar cows mingling with his own, their markings strange, but their presence ignored. It was only days later that the herdsmen from Maji Mingi arrived, their tall frames silhouetted against the golden light, their red shukas fluttering like flames in the wind. A Maasai man knew his cattle as a mother knew her children. It had not taken them long to recognize what belonged to them. Lolkera denied them outright. "These are my cows," he had slurred, his breath thick with changa. He had refused to meet with the elders, refused to acknowledge the growing tension between the villages. And when weeks passed with no resolution, he had done the unthinkable. He had slaughtered one of the stolen cows for meat. It was an insult that could not be ignored. The elders of Maji Mingi demanded justice, and justice had to be severe. Compensation was needed, not just for the cows, but for the dishonor brought to their village. They did not want money. They did not want cattle in return. They wanted something that could restore balance, a lesson that Mtawamawe would never forget. They demanded a daughter. Lolkera, careless and reckless, had no children. But his brother, Chief Lengai, did. A single girl. A child of barely 6 years. Her name was Naiserian. Naiserian had not understood at first. She had watched from behind the thick wooden pillars of her father's boma, small fingers clutching the dried grass mat as voices rose in the elders' gathering place. Her father, Chief Lengai, stood tall, his face a mask of calm, but his eyes betrayed the storm within. "You cannot take my daughter," he had said, his voice measured but sharp as a blade. "She is not the one who wronged you." But the elders of Maji Mingi had only shaken their heads. "Lolkera is your kin," they said. "Your people must bear the cost of his actions." That night, Naiserian's mother wept as she braided her daughter's hair one last time, whispering lullabies through broken sobs. She pressed a silver locket into Naiserian's small hands, the same locket Koinet would one day find beneath the great Baobab. "You must never forget where you come from," her mother had whispered, voice trembling. "No matter where they take you, you are Mutawamawe's daughter." Her father had walked her to the edge of the village, his grip firm but gentle. He had knelt before her, hands on her shoulders. "You are strong, Naiserian," he had said, "stronger than any of them know. But if ever the wind whispers your name in this land again, come home." She had nodded, but she had not fully understood what it meant. She was 6. She had only known home. Chief Lengai walked his daughter slowly across the river to the other side. He felt a lump so tight in his throat he might as well have choked on it. Deep down he knew he would never see his daughter again, but he had to plant a seed of hope in her heart and an assurance that she could cling to for the rest of her life, that she was loved. And then the warriors of Maji Mingi took her away. Back in Mutawamawe, her father never recovered from her loss. Chief Lengai had fought for her, had begged the elders to reconsider. But when his only daughter was taken from him, something inside him withered. He had walked through the village like a man carrying the weight of a ghost, and one day he simply stopped. The villagers whispered that he had died of a broken heart. Others said the ancestors had called him to rest because his spirit could no longer find peace. Whatever the truth, Mutawamawe had lost its chief, and Naiserian had lost everything. The years that followed were long and unkind. Maji Mingi was different from Mutawamawe. The earth was redder, the air drier, and the people colder. They never let her forget that she was not one of them. "You are here because your people are thieves," the women would whisper as they wove their beaded necklaces. "You belong to us now," the elders had said when she was old enough to understand. She had been raised in the home of a chief, not as his daughter, but as an offering, a living symbol of atonement. Her presence was meant to serve as a reminder that Mutawamawe had paid its debt. When she came of age, she was given in marriage to a man nearly twice her age, a respected warrior, a man with a scar. His name was Olokun. His hands were rough, his voice deep. He carried the weight of many battles in his gaze, but his heart was made of stone. She had been 16 when they forced her to marry him. She had stood in the center of the village, wrapped in red fabric, her wrists adorned with ivory bracelets. The women had sung for her, but there had been no joy in their voices, only tradition. Olokun had taken her without love, without kindness. She had been a bride in name, a possession in truth. For years she endured, until the night she fled. She had planned it for months. She had listened to the traders who passed through Maji Mingi, memorizing their routes, the paths they took to distant lands. She had saved food in secret, hidden a knife beneath her sleeping mat. And on the night when the wind howled and the sky was black with storm clouds, she ran, through the tall grasses, past the grazing lands, her feet silent against the earth. She did not stop, did not dare look back. She ran toward Muto Wamawe, toward the home she had barely known but never forgotten, toward freedom, toward Koinet. But freedom was never truly free. Olokun had followed her trail. A man like him did not lose what was his. He had found her, and he had never stopped searching. Now, as Koinet held the silver locket in his trembling hands, staring at the face of the man with the scar, the truth was clear. Naiserian had not run to him. She had run from something else, and now it had come for her. Koinet closed his fingers around the locket, his heart a storm of rage and sorrow. Naiserian had suffered because of the mistakes of men who were too weak to do what was right. But he was not weak. He would not allow Olokun to take her again. The Baobab tree loomed behind him, its roots deep in the earth, its branches stretching toward the heavens, an ancient witness to the sins of the past. Koinet swore that before the sun set again, he would find her. And this time, no man, no past, no fate would take her from him. He turned toward the south where the riverlands lay. Where Olokun had taken her, he would bring her home or die trying. Stories connect us to our past, shape our present, and guide our future. African Legends and Stories is more than just storytelling. It is a bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, between tradition and modernity. Subscribe now and be part of this journey. Like, comment, and share to keep these legends alive. This is African Legends and Stories, where the past speaks and the future listens.